Just along the California coast, about 90 miles northwest of Los Angeles, sits a city known for its red tile roofs, white stucco walls, and views of the Pacific Ocean. This is Santa Barbara, California. Often called the American Riviera, Santa Barbara is known today for its beauty, its climate, and its relaxed coastal lifestyle. But the city's identity was not formed by chance. It was shaped over time by geography, disaster, and deliberate design. To understand Santa Barbara, it's necessary to look back at how it began. Long before Spanish explorers arrived, this region was home to the Chumash people. They lived along the coast and on the nearby Channel Islands, building one of the most advanced and established societies in prehistoric North America. The Chumash relied on the ocean for food and transportation. Using plank-built canoes known as tamols, they traveled between the mainland and the islands, trading goods and maintaining strong connections across the region. The land that would become Santa Barbara was already part of a complex and thriving culture. That began to change in the late 18th century. In 1769, Spanish explorers led by Gaspar de Portola passed through the area. Not long after, Spain began establishing missions along the California coast as part of its effort to expand its influence. In 1786, Mission Santa Barbara was founded. Unlike other missions, it was built in a location that offered both natural beauty and strategic value. Positioned between the mountains and the sea, the mission became a central point for religious, agricultural, and social life in the region. The mission system brought significant changes to the area. Indigenous populations were drawn into the mission economy, and traditional ways of life were disrupted. At the same time, the foundations of what would become Santa Barbara were being established. Following Mexico's independence from Spain in 1821, control of California shifted. The mission lands were eventually secularized, and large land grants, known as ranchos, were distributed to private owners. Santa Barbara became part of this rancho system, with cattle ranching emerging as a dominant industry. For a time, the region remained relatively quiet and isolated. That began to change again in the mid-19th century. After California became part of the United States in 1850, new settlers arrived, bringing different industries, new infrastructure, and growing economic activity. Santa Barbara slowly developed into a small but active coastal town. By the late 1800s, another shift was underway. Like many other California towns, Santa Barbara began to attract visitors. Its mild climate, coastal location, and scenic beauty made it appealing to travelers, particularly those from colder parts of the country. Hotels were built, tourism increased, and Santa Barbara began to develop a reputation as a destination. But unlike other cities, Santa Barbara's identity would not be shaped by growth alone. It would be shaped by disaster. In 1925, a powerful earthquake struck the city. Buildings collapsed. Infrastructure was damaged. Much of downtown Santa Barbara was left in ruins. At the time, this could have marked a period of chaotic rebuilding. Instead, it became a turning point. City leaders made a deliberate decision. Rather than rebuild quickly and without direction, they chose to guide the city's future through design. Santa Barbara would be rebuilt in a unified architectural style, one inspired by its Spanish colonial past. White stucco walls, red tile roofs, arched windows, courtyards. This decision transformed Santa Barbara into something unique. The city was not just rebuilt, it was redesigned. As new buildings went up, they followed a consistent visual identity. Over time, this created the look that defines Santa Barbara today. One of the most iconic examples of this vision is the Santa Barbara County Courthouse. Completed in 1929, the courthouse reflects the Spanish colonial revival style in detail and with scale. With its tiled roofs, decorative arches, and central clock tower, it stands as a symbol of the city's architectural identity. From the top of the tower, the design of Santa Barbara becomes clear. The city feels intentional, ordered but not rigid, unified but not repetitive. This was not on accident. It was the result of planning. As the city moved forward, this architectural approach extended beyond public buildings. Homes, businesses, and neighborhoods all began to reflect the same design principles. Santa Barbara became known not just for its location, but for its appearance. At the same time, the city continued to develop as a cultural and educational center. Institutions like the University of California, Santa Barbara brought students, research, and new energy to the region. The presence of the university added another layer to the city's identity, one tied to learning and innovation. Tourism also continued to grow. Visitors were drawn to the beaches, the mountains, and the unique character of the city itself. Unlike other coastal cities that expanded rapidly, Santa Barbara maintained a sense of control over its development. Building height limits, designing standards, and preservation efforts helped protect the city's appearance. As a result, Santa Barbara avoided many of the changes that reshaped other parts of Southern California. Today, walking through Santa Barbara feels different. The red tile roofs remain. The streets feel open. The connection between the city and its surroundings is still visible. The mountains rise sharply behind the city, while the Pacific Ocean stretches out in front. Geography continues to shape the experience, and that connection to the land is part of what defines Santa Barbara. What makes the city significant is not just its history, but how that history was used. The 1925 earthquake could have erased much of what came before. Instead, it became an opportunity to define what could come next. Santa Barbara chose to preserve a sense of identity rather than follow rapid, unplanned growth. That decision continues to shape the city today. From its origins as Chumash land, to its role in the Spanish mission system, to its transformation after disaster, Santa Barbara reflects multiple layers of history. Each layer remains visible, not separate, but connected. And that continuity is what gives the city its character. Santa Barbara is often described as beautiful, but that beauty is not only natural, it's also the result of decisions made over time that shaped how the city would look, feel, and grow. In that way, Santa Barbara is more than a coastal destination. It's an example of how a city can define itself, and how history, when preserved and understood, can become part of everyday life.